thing they Big Bend us. Excuse me, Elizabeth Towered us in the very first second of the movie. Otherwise, how would we have ever known we were in London? Also, obvious painting is obvious. You know how you know this movie is old? It opens with 2.5 minutes of credits over a cityscape. While overall the one-man band instruments seem to match up pretty well, that accordion line continues throughout this entire song, even though he stops playing it several times.
Ladies and gents, comical poem.
Bird is a Dick Van Dyke to the British accent.
Can't put me finger on what lies in store. I feel what's to happen. All happened before.
Disney reveals its own production slogan over a half-century ago. The clues were there the whole time! 5 minutes in, and this movie is still f***ing around.
Oh, it's you! Hello!
Breaking the fourth wall when you're not in a Deadpool or Jay and Silent Bob movie.
This here's Cherry Tree Line.
They named the trees after this street, actually. You guys are sending a portion of the profits to Kesserling and Capra and the rest of the Arsenic and Old Lace gang with this rip-off Teddy Roosevelt shtick, right?
Those little beasts have run away from me for the last time.
You're quitting as a nanny because the kids keep running away from you? Seriously? You are a nanny lady, and you have patience as a non-nanny human. And you're stupid for not putting bells on the kids or tying them to a bedpost. How does a bastard orphan son of a whore and a Wait, I think I got my wires crossed again.
Though we adore men individually, we agree that as a group they're rather stupid.
Well, actually I can't argue much with that one.
Be that as it may, I do not wish to offend, but I...
Just fucking quit or leave, Jesus. Stop being polite about interrupting her at least.
Ellen, put these things away. You know how the cause infuriates Mr. Banks.
Yes?
Mr. Banks is a code red, you're goddamn right I did asshole before even showing up on screen. I will be curious to see how they redeem him later in the movie. Movie makes the only good case I've ever seen for having a homeowners association. You.
It's grand to be an Englishman in 1910. King Edward's on the throne. It's the age of men.
The patriarchy. Also, FYI, this movie takes place roughly 21 years after the events of The Prestige, which is a much better movie, despite what the nostalgia diaper crowd in the comments would have you believe.
I'll deal with this at once.
Upon learning his children are missing and declaring he'll deal with it, his father goes straight to the telephone?
Children, come here at once.
Look, either they are obedient, subservient, creepy robot children, or they're rebellious turds that keep ditching all the new nannies. They cannot be both.
They don't want a honest, hard-working girl around here. They need a ruddy zookeeper.
She says this in full audio view of the Banks' parents.
Take this down, please.
He then goes on to sing a couple hundred words, thereby creating the most expensive classified ad the world has eever seen. There's so many words, it's a full-page goddamn ad.
Rosy cheeks, no warts.
That's the part I put in.
That's wartsist.
Take us on outings, give us treats.
Are you dogs?
If you won't scold and dominate us.
I didn't know E.L. James wrote Mary Poppins.
Put toads in your bed, or pepper in your tea.
Holy shit, old-timey Britain was a f***ed-up place to be a nanny. You had to worry about tiny frog cousins in your bed, pepper in your tea, and... Wait, that sounds like a single middle school afternoon. How are these kids driving nannies away with lame stunts like this? Pure unadulterated magic will now weigh in and bump these children's futures by telling Mary Poppins to visit them, because spoiled rich children are the most deserving children on Earth for a visit from a magical fairy nanny. Not any kids in Africa, or Gary, Indiana, or even in the poorer parts of f***ing London. Nope, these rotten rich toddlers. Banks tore his children's letter into exactly 8 pieces, so why are there at least twice as many pieces flying out of this chimcheroo? You got some Wizard of Oz in my Mary Poppins. God damn, the nanny unemployment in London was off the charts. Man aside. Also, no, seriously, Poppins is using mob tactics here. She wants the job and needs other applicants to go away? Fine. Resorting to physical violence? That's a felony. This insert of the obviously torn paper looks nothing like the seemingly unblemished paper she's reading from. It's obviously there, so the audience will realize what's going on, but couldn't we and Mr. Banks get that from the words alone?
Close your mouth, please, Michael. We are not a codfish.
Why codfish? I mean, I suppose, like all fish, they do open their mouths a bit, but if you wanted to be zoologically accurate, I think basking shark is the way to go here, right?
Yeah, she's in the nursery, of course. I mean, I put her to work straight away.
Your kids are like 5th graders. You call their room a nursery? Oh, I see. The nursery's where they play, not where they nurse. God, I hope they don't nurse in here. I hope they don't nurse at all, actually. Basically, Mary Poppins is a magician who uses nannying as a way to find an audience. She's Penn and Teller with an early childhood education degree.
I much prefer seeing all of my face at the same time.
Okay, I was going to ignore it, but I can't anymore. This movie's subtitles are wrong consistently. Here, the subtitle has her saying at once instead of at the same time. Just a second ago, the wife said, "What on earth are you doing? I thought you were interviewing nannies." But the subtitles skip the entire sentence, "What on earth are you doing?" Then she says, "I would have muddled the whole thing," but the subtitles say muddled everything. And this is the anniversary edition. The only way these subtitles could be this bad is if you use super old ones and then ran them through Google Translate English to Spanish and then back to English again.
A thing of beauty is a joy forever.
I will take a sin off, though, for the pure old-school movie magic at work here. Okay, the bag is huge inside. We get it. Real talk. How the f*** is that lamp already lit, without even a power cord coming out of it and currently plugged into nothing? This makes my prestige joke earlier seem eerily prescient, as clearly Tesla is powering this lamp, and probably made her a carpet bag of magic size, and oh my god, new fan theory. The Prestige and Mary Poppins take place in the same universe. Discuss amongst yourselves after someone gives me a cookie for coming up with this. Cute, but you know who was the same height as Mary Poppins? Charles Manson. She's singing the "spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down" song, and I'm left to wonder, has anyone on this production ever swallowed a spoonful of granulated sugar? Even powdered sugar? Because that is a nightmare of coughing and agony. Also, how much medicine are you giving these kids per dose that you need a whole spoonful of sugar to hide the taste? No lie, these stuffed fake robins moving about awkwardly here gave me nightmares like you would not believe. Damn it, movie. The songs, that voice, Julie frickin' Andrews. This movie is pure magic, and even my cold, dark heart has to take a spoonful of sins off for how joyful this movie is.
Mary Poppins!
Roll supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Movie fails to give adequate "take drugs now" warning. Movie inadvertently inspires Roger Rabbit. Hot Jesus, would you look at the size of that fucking horse? That is a double wide of a Clydesdale fucking horse right there. That's a bunch of people in a horse costume, actually, right? Fuck me. Did the animator even see a horse before getting this job? It's like he drew a rhino and then removed the horn. Fuck you, giant horse, and the horse you rode in on and promptly fucking ate. Two turtles totally tickled to transfer two tremendously titanic troubadours toward terra firma. Though, truth told, turtles are terrible transportation. Too tired to tread the tide, typically translating to tragic terminal tales.
Wait up! Wait up!
Anyone who sits down and instantly yells for a waiter is a super douche. Though I guess his outfit could also have told me the same thing. Kazoos.
It's true that Mavis and Sybil have ways that are winning, and Prudence and Gwendolyn set you out spinning.
Dick Van Drake? 42 years before Happy Feet. Suck it, Warner Brothers. Fine, in Imagination World, we can somehow believe that he's wearing the same pants and just pulled them down a bit, but I can't stop thinking about where that waistline would be if he pulled them back up. At least his shoulders, right? Until I rewatched Mary Poppins, I never realized how much March of the Penguins ripped it off. This merry-go-round is weak and only has 4 horses total.
Halloo!
Even discount John C. Reilly here would have to agree that as much good stuff as there is in this painting adventure, it goes on for way too long. I'm not saying you cut everything out, but do we really need this boring fox hunt? Movie predicts future by Disney scooping up Fox and running away. So does that make these guys Comcast?
You know, you can say it backwards, which is Docius Ali Expiistic Fragicali Rufus.
Rupus? Shouldn't it be Repus? For that matter, you just reversed the phrases and not the letters up until super. So why change it there anyway? Shouldn't you have said Docius Ali Expiistic Fragicali Super? Because if you're saying the whole thing backwards, it would be Suic Odelia Exit Silic Arfa Lacrypus. I'm just saying this bit of showboating is complete bullshit, and we should never trust anything Mary Poppins says or does again.
One night I said it to me girl, and now me girl's me wife.
Casual domestic abuse is casual. Suck my balls.
Jane! Michael!
Sure, Mary Poppins will somehow get the Banksy kids out of this street art, but what are the townsfolk, horses, dogs, and turtles gonna do? I'm just saying the movie yada yada is the death of an entire community, and I'm not cool with it.
Stay awake, don't rest your head.
Reverse syncology.
She and Cook usually fight like cats and dogs, but today...
This is such an obvious thing you were just talking about happens to occur just as you're talking about a cliche, that Mrs. Banks looks to see it happening before she has any way of knowing it's coming.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Alright, I'm saying it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is the 99 bottles of beer on the wall of classic Disney movie songs. It's only enjoyed by those singing it, and to everyone else, it's f***ing maddening.
Whoops, don't you two start. Come back down here.
This movie really almost demands you take drugs, right? Or at least acknowledge those making it did.
Keep an eye on Uncle Albert, will you, Bert?
I'll sit with him a while.
Anyone concerned that there's still a table levitating over their heads and the person who used their apparent telekinetic powers to put it there just left? No one? Just me then?
Shoot his pillow to bits. Bits.
Movie has time for this.
But tea parties on the ceiling? I asked you. Having tea parties on the ceiling.
I love how he's offended by the tea parties because of the uncouth nature of having them on the ceiling instead of the floor, ignoring completely the magic of how and why they are on the ceiling.
But goat's butt.
Goat's butt.
Early each day to the steps of St. Paul.
Could we get a spoonful of interesting to help this depressing dirge go down? And before you come at me with that, it's so beautiful, or it's the point of the movie nonsense, let me just ask you how many times you couldn't get this song out of your head. If you're a huge poppin' head, maybe remember the Feed the Birds line. Other than that, this is a huge time suck, when all we really need is for the Banks family to get to some banksing. How much do you think they spent on this giant unused room in the bank that has decorative wooden columns and marble floors and artwork throughout, but otherwise has no purpose whatsoever?
Prudently, thriftily, frugally invested in the...
To be specific.
This song about investing makes me want to waste money on hookers, lottery tickets, and blow. Now, you may say that I started out wanting to spend my money on those things, and you would be right. But my point is that it didn't change my mind. The song didn't work, and that's on the song. Considering it's barely been 10 seconds since the first person asked to pull their money, how on earth did all these Monopoly men hear about it so quickly?
You're filthy.
You're the one that had a penguin trying to bed Julie Andrews' movie, so don't come at me with your superiority. Wait, I may have misunderstood.
Oh no, it's her day off. What about you, sir?
So it's conveniently Mary's day off, and your employees give you lip and refuse to do what you ask? You're just gonna let grimy chimney sweep guy look after your kids for the evening so you can go egg the Prime Minister's house? I know Mr. Banks takes all the grief for his aloofness, but Mrs. Banks ain't much better, y'all.
Michael, be careful.
So Mary Poppins is taking her day off until she's needed for the big rooftop dance number? I see how it is. Dear God, I hope she stops with the nose. I'm already feeling very uncomfortable. This chimney march dance is depressing as f***. By the time it ended, I hated puppies. What the hell? Did Mary Poppins do this, or are chimney sweeps magical creatures that only need a head to survive?
Step in time! Step in time! Step in time!
This steps on for some time. I'd remove all the sins if just one of these fuckers tripped and fell and this movie became a surprise PSA about the dangers of dancing on rooftops. You never knew how large the chimney sweep mafia was, did you? Hot damn, this movie could be so much shorter if we just trimmed the rooftop dancing a bit. Holy fucking shit.
First of all, I would like to make one thing quite clear. I never explain anything.
Movie speaks directly to a confused audience. Mr. Banks sings about how it's all Mary Poppins' fault and his world was calm and well-ordered before she showed up. That's a f***ing bald-faced lie. His kids were little hellions, kids feeling rebellious, and his wife was caught up in the suffragette movement that he hates.
And when your little tykes are crying, you haven't time to dry their tears.
Shaming Mr. Banks. This is a 90-minute movie that takes 2 hours and 20 minutes. Do we really need a full 3 minutes of this Mr. Banks fired man walking nonsense? I could have watched that whole Skibbity video again in that time.
And threw all the tea overboard. This made the tea unsuitable for drinking, even for Americans.
Oh, come on! That was the funniest joke in the whole movie! But this movie won't let Banks get credit for it because his audience is a bunch of stuffy old dorks. What a ripoff. So, to fire him, they destroy his umbrella and hat, unless the company paid for those. Why would they have? Banks should file charges on these dicks. That's his personal property.
Don't you love us?
And what would happen to me, may I ask, if I loved all the children I said goodbye to?
You'd be a decent human being and not a sociopath?
Wouldn't hurt to have them drag the river. There's a nice spot there by Southwark Bridge, popular with jumpers.
What the f***?
What on earth were you doing in the cellar?
You'll see in a moment.
It's true. In a moment, he will show them that he mended the family kite, but since he was fired precisely at 9 p.m., and they had long enough this morning to call the police, are we suggesting it took him all night to paste some newspaper over those holes?
Let's go fly a kite.
And so they lived happily ever after, until a few months later when they all died of pneumonia from being destitute and unable to pay for health care because flying kites wasn't considered adequate payment. Rest in peace, Banks family. Rest in peace.
He left an opening for a new partner.
Or he gets his job back because his random unfunny joke killed his former boss. Either way, a spoonful of bullshit helps the plot device go down in the most convenient way.
I hardly think a few birds are going to bring about the end of the world.
You sing a song.
Didn't you get sacked?
Sacked? Certainly not. I am never sacked. You find the fun and snap. Michael!
I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Oh, it's you. Hello.
Lou and I are just headed over to the newsstand. Do you want to come along?
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
which is docious ali expiastic fragicalirupus.
Oh, now you're just showing off.
What's that, Lassie? You feel sick? A supposa what?